This video is an overview of the CHAMPS program that we use at Gilmer Elementary School. Before we talk about CHAMPS, let's talk about the Buckeye bylaws. These were adapted from the Ron Clark Academy, and they represent the golden rules needed for all students to be successful students and eventually adults. You can find the Buckeye bylaws in the foyer and in the cafeterias. CHAMPS is a positive behavior support system that was developed by Randy Sprigg. It was designed to set expectations so that students know the rules necessary for successful behavior in every place that they go. As you go throughout the building, you will notice CHAMPS posters everywhere to direct students how to behave in each area of the building. The letter C stands for conversation. It tells the students and the teachers what conversation is appropriate in that part of the building or in a given activity. The letter H stands for help. Students need to know how to ask for help in a given activity or a part of the building so that way they do not get in trouble. As you can see, the CHAMPS are posted with a picture and with words. It shows the students what conversation is appropriate and gives a visual cue to help them remember. Also with the letter H, it shows them not only in words how to ask for help, but it gives them a picture to show them what that looks like. The letter A stands for activity. This describes what the student should be doing to be demonstrating appropriate behavior in the given activity. The letter M stands for movement, and this tells the students what movement, if any at all, is allowed in the activity. The letter P represents participation. If the student is demonstrating the appropriate conversation, asking for help, doing the activity, and using the appropriate movement, those elements combined demonstrate what a model student's participation should look like. If you look at the two posters, you will see that it is very important to be very specific and descriptive about what the activity looks like and what movement is permissible in the activity. Also, it is important to describe specifically what the appropriate participation looks like to demonstrate appropriate CHAMPS. Here are some steps that you need to develop to make sure that you have a successful CHAMPS system. Step 1. Define the CHAMPS for every situation that your students will be in. Think about every learning situation that your students will be in, how you will group your students, how you want them to transition, and how you want them to manage their materials. When you think about those situations, carefully script out how you want your students to behave and use appropriate CHAMPS. Step number 2. Make your plan to review and practice the CHAMPS before you do an activity. Research shows that the more often and frequently students practice doing the CHAMPS, the more likely it will become a habit and a routine. So build that into your practice each and every day. Step number 3. Plan for the behaviors that you want to be reinforced and praise your students for demonstrating those behaviors. If you praise students regularly, they will always be looking for your praise and they will use that appropriate behavior to get it. Step number 4. Make a plan to stop, redirect, and reteach behaviors that are not aligned with CHAMPS. If you do not stop and redirect those behaviors, they will become habit and will cause you problems in the long run. Step number 5. Make a plan to teach and practice the CHAMPS to your students in great detail for the first 10 days of school. Harry Wong has proven that if you practice those behaviors and routines in a consistent fashion, your students will be very successful in their behavior. Step number 6. Whenever you're having difficulty, it's important to feel comfortable asking for help. Please remember, on our campus, we want you to ask a fellow teacher or an assistant principal for help implementing the CHAMPS. Here are some areas that we need to focus on to make our instruction successful with the CHAMPS. In whole group activities, it's important to focus on conversation and activity. In independent work, we focus on help and activity. In paired work, it's important to focus on conversation and asking for help. In small group, focusing on conversation and movement. And lining up to leave, focusing on activity and movement. On our campus, we use a color chart to help students have a visual cue of how their behavior is progressing. Teachers use clips to pull the clips down for behavior that's inappropriate, and we can pull the clips up when the student corrects their behavior and starts using good behavior. This is a great visual cue and a great way to communicate with parents, so visit with your teammates about how to implement it in your classroom. In conclusion, it's important to know that the foundation for learning is a solid classroom management plan, and positive behavior leads to successful learning. If you set up a great classroom management plan and practice it regularly, students will be successful in reaching their goals.